Welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. I'm Cam, and for this video, we will be reading Genesis chapter 43. And the famine was sore in the land. And it came to pass, when they had eaten up the corn which they had bought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, Go again, buy us a little food. And Judah spake unto him, saying, The man did solemnly protest unto us, saying, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, Ye shall not see my face, except your brother be with you. And Israel said, Wherefore dealt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had yet a brother? And they said, The man asked us straitly of our state, and of our kindred, saying, Is your father yet alive? Have ye another brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, Bring your brother down? And Judah said unto Israel his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him. If I bring him not unto thee, and set him before thee, then let me bear the blame forever. For except we had lingered, surely now we had returned this second time. And their father Israel said unto them, If it must be so now, do this: take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm, and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds, and take double money in your hand, and the money that was bought again in the mouth of your sacks. Carry it again in your hand, peradventure it was an oversight. Take also your brother, and arise, go again unto the man. And God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brother, and Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. And the men took that present, and they took double money in their hand, and Benjamin, and rose up, and went down to Egypt, and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the ruler of his house, Bring these men home, and slay, and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid, because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, Because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time we are brought in, that he may seek occasion against us, and fall upon us, and take us for bondmen and our asses. And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. And it came to pass, when we came to the end, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight, and we have bought it again in our hand. And other money have we bought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. And he said, Peace be to you, fear not, your God, and the God of your father, hath given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money, and he brought Simeon out unto them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house, and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their asses provender. And they made ready the present. The present against Joseph came at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well, the old man of whom ye spake? Is he yet alive? And they answered, Thy servant our father is in good health. He is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads, and made obeisance. The brothers bowed down their heads, and made obeisance to Joseph. They bowed down to Joseph. And he lifted up his eyes, and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother, of whom ye spake unto me? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother, and he sought where to weep. And he entered into his chamber, and he wept there. And he washed his face, and went out, and refrained himself, and said, Set on bread. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians, which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled one at another. And he took and sent messes unto them from before him. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times so much as any of theirs. And they drank, and they were merry with him. Summarizing chapter 43. So the brothers and Jacob ate all the food, and then Jacob tells them to go back down to Egypt to buy more food. Judah reminds him, hey, we have to bring Benjamin. That's part of the deal. Jacob then gets mad. He's mad that they told him that they even had an extra brother. Um, and to- he's mad that they told the Egyptian that they had an extra brother, the Egyptian who was really Joseph. So Jacob is mad at them for even revealing that information about Benjamin. Jacob gives in to Judah and the brothers and instructs his sons to take presents, double the money, and the money that was returned to them. When they arrive, they are invited to Joseph's house. They are afraid, and they tell the house manager or steward that they had extra money the first time they came there. They were scared. Simeon was bought out, and they waited to eat. Joseph came out. They all bowed to Joseph. They bowed to him. They made obeisance to him. Joseph recognized Benjamin and inquired on the status of their father. After that, he ran to cry, feeling compassion for his family. He and the Egyptians in his home ate separately because Egyptians believed that it was an abomination or a bad thing to eat with the Hebrews. The brothers were seated by age, and Benjamin got the largest serving. They were fascinated by the fact that they were seated according to age. Some highlights for chapter 43. Jacob's family, Jacob and his family ate all of the food before going back to save Simeon. Like he's still in prison. He When I read that, I was thinking that maybe after they got home, they would turn around and go back for Simeon, but no, they came back, lived life, ate the food, and then went back to Egypt. Now they don't know that Joseph, their brother, is the governor or the Egyptian. So this is their real intention, how they would behave. But Simeon is one of 2 brothers that caused mass murder in chapter 34. So maybe now he's a disposable brother. Judah is back. In chapter 38, Judah is the one who impregnated his twice widowed daughter in law, Tamar. Tamar pretended she was a prostitute and got pregnant because Judah promised her his youngest son after he, you know, had her marry his first son, he died, had her marry the second son, he died, and now she was promised the third son, but then Judah didn't enforce it, so Tamar pretended to be a prostitute, tricked him into impregnating her, and then she had twin boys. But now Judah is back, so he's back with the gang. He's also the same brother that sold Joseph into slavery, so that guy's back. Jacob is called Israel in this chapter only. And I know I kept saying, I kept calling him Jacob, but he's only called Israel in this chapter, and I should have said that. Um, but in chapter 42, the text uses both of his names, Jacob and Israel. It's easier for me I write Jacob/Israel because sometimes with these names, I get a little confused. So for me, it's easier for me to remember him as Jacob. But his name in chapter 43 is Israel. He is not referred to as Jacob at all. In chapter 42, In verse 2, verse 6, verse 8, and verse 11, he is in chapter 43, verse 2, 6, 8, and 11, he is referred to as Israel. But in chapter 42, verse 29 and 36, he's referred to as Jacob. So this is the text referring to their father. The sons are not calling him his name because the sons are the only people that are talking to him right now or talking to him in this chapter. But that name change, it's still there. We don't see that with Abraham. We don't see that with Sarah. Once their names were changed, that's the only names that they were used until they died. But we see this with Jacob slash Israel being used, both names being used. So when the brothers were brought to Joseph's home, they were immediately fearful because of the extra money returned in their items from the last trip. And lastly, chapter 42, verse 32, the Egyptians found it abominable to eat with the Hebrews. Joseph was passing to commit to his identity. Passing is a term used was a term used during slavery and Jim Crow in American history, where an African American they would have features that were close enough to being white where they could pass for a different race. So we have some of that evident here, where Joseph is passing and pretending to be an Egyptian to committing to that role so he could maintain his power and his identity, and also to protect his brothers. His brothers still don't know that this is his brother, that this is Joseph, the one they sold into slavery. Very interesting. Thank you for watching up until this point. We will be reading Genesis chapter 44 next.